Welcome to the Possibility Alliance. This is a 80-acre sanctuary, and I'm going to start the tour just talking about the overarching vision. It's one sentence, and then the 5 practices that bring the vision down to the earth. We wanted to keep one sentence just so it didn't get complicated and save paper. So the sentence is, in a nutshell, each person might say it their own way, which we like. Unity and diversity is the upliftment of all beings, including ourselves, period. In a sense also that the upliftment of ourselves means following our heart path, being fully awake and alive, channeling love, and that if we become martyrs for other beings, we don't believe we're doing what we're asked to do, as everything wants to thrive. We want to thrive in all of this land and all of the cultures in the world. So that's the mission statement. It's kind of lofty. So we came up with 5 practices that we have in our week. So we have 5 practices, and they are as follows. The first one is simplicity, and it's both inner and outer simplicity. Outer, we started this 80 acres non-electric, non-machine, non-petroleum on site, and anything we bring in, we want to help lower our ecological footprint. So if we bring in a horse, we then will have ability to move wood, to move ourselves, to do other work without depending on a tractor. At the same time, we try to have the horses have 30 acres of free space and allow them to have as much of a natural life as possible. We often try to even get animals like our goats that were in really bad conditions, and their owner was never on the farm, and they're in tiny cubicles, and so if we can bring an animal to a more expressive life, then we achieve a lot of that in one go. So radical simplicity and inner simplicity. So how do we get rid of all the sound bites from the commercials and all the worries of the future and past? Is just at night we have candles and we're all at the dinner table. There's no distraction. Number 2 is 2 and 3. They all merge into each other. They're all meant to complement each other, and the 2 and 3 are service and activism. And the difference between the two is service means you help anyone with no political or social agenda. Some examples are our neighbor's house burnt down, so we sent at least one person a day up there to swing a hammer. They didn't have insurance. Our political beliefs are different, but it's a human being needing shelter, so our goal was service. When we moved the old lady and used the big truck down in the Plata, the simplicity is thrown out, we're serving, so we want to help her move. That's number 2. Number 3 is social and political change. So we actually helped start a bike co-op and lent them all our tools and bought bikes for them up in Kirksville. We had an agenda to get more bikes on the road and help the rural poor get on bikes who didn't have access to cars. And we also sent people down to lobby on the lobby day for small farmers' rights. And on the 21st, we're getting a big bus and caravanning down to a big peace rally in Colombia. So that's more direct political social. And then number 4 is inner work, which is as big as the world is outside, it's big inside, and that's committing that we're going to look at our own judgment, fear, anger, hatred, and also I'd summarize it by saying everyone's a child of God, despite your faith or your belief. So everyone who walks in the door, we host anarchists who are in collectives in Kansas City who are anti-religion. We host Methodist youth groups. We host just a huge range. Librarians from Dallas, Texas, and ruralists, permaculturalists, and the idea that let's practice treating everyone equal. And this is the complexity of the project, is we try to have neutral spaces where everyone can practice. So in inner work we have a shared silence in the morning. Someone could pray or meditate or sit and be present. And inner work is also however someone interprets it. There could be someone might have a yoga practice or go walking quietly in the woods and trying to honor each person's work. And the fifth one is gratitude, joy, and celebration. That if we're not coming more alive, there's something missing. And I've worked on tree sits, and I was at the WTO, and yes, it was amazing to make change, but there's so much anger and hatred that it left a bad taste in my mouth. So this idea that what if we could change the world and have fun and enjoy it? And that fifth one is often when I look at the Gandhian principles or all these other amazing leaders, that one is never a priority. It's seen as like self-centered or somehow ego. But when I look at birds playing and crows flipping and otters sliding on ice, I'm like, well, all creation seems to be doing it, singing. So that's the fifth one. And the way they work, just in a summary, is we had neighbors who needed dirt, and we had all this dirt from the pond, but they needed their backhoe to get enough dirt to make a platform for their house. And there again, a lot of poor rural people. So on that day, everyone who was here, service was more important than simplicity. So a backhoe came onto the petrol-free zone, dug up the dirt, and brought it to the neighbors. It doesn't mean we forget about simplicity, but we let that be dynamic. And we allow a tension between those. When we were first moving in, we wanted enough food for the winter, and we were staying up late and canning squash, and it was 11 at night, and we thought of Principle 5. I was like, when was the last time we climbed a tree together or made music? It's been 3 weeks. And so all of a sudden, the next day, everything got scrapped, and we went out and just walked and laughed and played music. And so again, it's a check and balance. And when you're serving, you can be doing inner work. When you're doing inner work, you can be cultivating joy. So they're not separate. The only other, I think, unique things about this experiment is an experiment. So being here, you're part of the experiment. We've had 600 visitors, and the vision has changed because a visitor comes and shares their own heart vision. So now you're part of it. And in this experiment, it's a gift economy. So no one's charged for being here. We do classes. We're going to be doing one of the first permaculture certification classes for free, but by donation if someone wants to give to that. And the whole idea that we have this information to live simple, and it should be given. Our service should be given, and trust will be provided for. And in 2 years, 80 acres is entirely paid for. All of the food we're producing and the 800 trees we planted. We don't have much in our accounts at all, but we have enough. So far, so good. And the last one is heart path. Is we want someone to be able to come here, and if they're going to be a full member, not tell them, you're going to work horses. But let's say someone came here and they wanted to do city murals. We would say, okay, we know this great milk paint, or we know how you can get recycled paint from the city, and help them make their murals in the most mindful way that's aligned with their heart, and also participating here, and it adds to our project. So could anyone live their heart path in this container? For example, the outward service, each full-time member has to, we ask to spend a month out in the world. It can be anything you want. Sarah loves to be local, so she goes to the local public school and teaches cheese making and dress and quilting. I like to go everywhere, so I dress up as a superhero and I go all over the planet for my month. But someone could work with elderly. It's how do you have intention with infinite choices in between? So it's year 2, and that's the possibility in a nutshell, Possibility Alliance. It's time for questions.